we're this weird mixture of becoming more white. We're all minorities. Most of them are Chinese, but then the Chinese are a threat. So good. Okay, what is exactly the Asian American paradox? And am I just making this shit up? Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Beautiful day in New York City to be talking about how weird it is to be Asian American. Yes, I said weird. Do I think it's the worst thing to be Asian American? I probably wouldn't say that, but I definitely think it ranges as a life in America, either ranging from an invisible existence to one where you might feel like everybody else. So it just really depends on your own personal position, your own tooling, the neighborhood that you grew up in, and your own life experiences. But I think at all those different levels, being Asian American is kind of odd. And I'm gonna tell you why. But first I gotta stop by my friend's coffee shop called Cream here on Essex Street to, refuel, because this one's gonna be a good one. Yo, what's up? Good to see you, man.
What's up?
Yo, this is another Fung right here.
Yeah, Fung Bros right here.
Whoa, what are some of your best sellers?
The best sellers are strawberry matcha latte.
Strawberry matcha latte.
Fresh. We have the soft serve. That's a best seller, especially when it gets hot.
Should I get the strawberry matcha latte?
It's up to you.
All right, everybody, I got the strawberry matcha latte looking like the Italian flag right here. Fresh pureed strawberries at the bottom. Not gonna lie, this is not a low-calorie drink, but oh my God. So I got 3 puzzles that make up this Asian American paradox. What I mean by the Asian American paradox is that there's like a series of contradictions about Asian Americans that make it very confusing to be Asian American sometimes. And that's why it's always debated about where we fall on the political spectrum, are we black and white? Well, guess what? The world is really actually not black and white, no pun intended. And so that's why it's hard for Asians to fit in somewhere. But I'm gonna talk about why. First, I want to talk about what the term Asian American means. That's a huge umbrella term that really encompasses so many countries and people of different origins. And it's kind of like what we're all supposed to be in the same group as, but the group is huge and diverse. Like everybody from Pakistan to Samoa to Japan to Indonesia, that's all Asian Americans. Oh yeah, not to mention the multi-generational people. So Asians who have been here for 3-4 generations versus the Asians who just got here. We're all clumped in together. It's not really a problematic term at all. Obviously I use it, but everybody has their kind of like own distinct interpretation of it versus what the government says. The government does it because they have to categorize people, and categorizing people, it sounds like that usually gets a bad rep, but categories are useful in a way, unless they're bad for bad, but categories are good because it adds structure. People know how to allocate resources. There's representation in politics that you need to be concerned of, and all these things. It's actually, the term Asian American is for much more pragmatic reasons, in my opinion, than it is for identity. Look at this background behind me. It looks so dope with the green leaves and the blue skies. And I got the green matcha. Oh my God, look, you can't even see the matcha. It's in the tree. Literally a dude racing his RC racer on the street. Okay, so I say all that just to really say that I think given how diverse the umbrella of Asian America is, and how we're kind of considered the same group, but we're all actually very different people, I feel like we all get along pretty well, and I think that is pretty cool. And maybe that is a trait about being Asian. Maybe that's what makes you Asian, is that you're harmonious with other people and you're open-minded. I don't know, maybe. All right, so puzzle number 1. Look at this stat from the Taft status report. These are real actual numbers done by real professors. Like, these are really smart people taking a scientific approach to gathering data about Asian Americans and how Asian Americans are perceived by other people. As you can see from this graph, white people in America continue to believe that the status of Asian Americans is closer to white. Okay, look, it peaked last year, it went down a little bit this year, but it's still pretty high. Look at that graph, okay? So that's how many people, I guess, kind of view that when you ask them like, oh, like, what do you think about Asian Americans? How are they doing in America? What do you think their status is? They're like, oh yeah, it's getting pretty close to us. Yeah, I kind of view them more as white Americans. Yeah, they're doing really well, high education. I see them getting promoted at work. Yeah, so they're white. And then this other slide right after, that is actually the same survey. I don't know if it's the same data, but Americans continually feel that Asian Americans are perpetual foreigners, that they are more loyal to their land of origin. So how does that work? What sense does this make where you have people who are seen as becoming more white, but at the same time still perpetual foreigners? Are we talking about the same group of people? Are we talking about different Asians? You tell me, but the stats are right here. Look at the graph. So good. Okay, so that was puzzle number 1, but puzzle number 2 goes like this. Asian Americans are still seen as the model minorities, okay? Not super surprising. They're smart, hardworking, nice. I don't want to say demure, but you know, agreeable, I guess. If you know a lot of Asian Americans, I know a lot of Asians in America, although I know Asians of all different groups, right? There's the hustler Asians, the drug dealer Asians, but also the professional Asians and the entrepreneurial Asians, small business Asians, and the tech founder, startup Asians. But generally, they all kind of, like a lot of them, not all of them, but even the ones who go into entrepreneurship do kind of fit into this. I mean, everybody's kind of educated and tries to do well for themselves. So I guess if those things mean that we're the model minority, then yeah, it's not shocking. You know, we didn't really do a whole lot to break that. But I also don't think that being the model minority is maybe the worst thing. It's just when it's used against other groups and used to pin us against other groups, that's when it becomes bad. But really for ourselves, if you ask the average Asian, oh, you're seen as successful and hardworking and nice. We're not like, oh, are you kidding me? That's not who I am. Okay, but the second part of this puzzle number 2 is that most Americans view Asian Americans as Chinese. Meaning that, look at this graph, that when you say the word Asian American, most Americans are thinking of a Chinese person. They're going to assume that they're Chinese. So that comes for a number of different reasons, which I'll probably get into in another video. And some are fairly logical and some are not, obviously. But that's just what the stats showed. So when the first Asian that comes to mind, the default Asian, the regular Asian, the usual Asian is Chinese. But then there's this other part to it that says 1 in 4 Americans believe Chinese Americans are a threat to national security. Yeah, 1 in 4 Americans. That means 25% of Americans feel like Chinese living in America. Yeah, and they might not, I don't know, maybe they're not referring to people exactly like me. I don't know if people see me as a threat to national security. I really don't know what information I have that China needs. Even if somebody on WeChat tried to pay me money to get secrets back to China, literally I'd have nothing to tell them. All my information that I know, all the secrets I know are on my YouTube channel. What I mean is that we're this weird mixture of becoming more white, we're model minorities, most of them are Chinese, but then the Chinese are a threat. So does that in turn make Asian Americans a threat? I know I'm doing some A equals B equals C type stuff, and it might not be exact, and I'm not sure exactly where all the data points come from, but these are very smart people who did this survey. So to me, I think when you just read those slides one after another, I'm just like, wait, what? ¿Por qué? I'm like, why? What sense does this make? All right, so that was puzzle number 2. On to puzzle number 3. All right, I might have to stop by my friend's donut shop. He's Bengali, and he runs 6 donuts. Fresh donuts, baby. Let's go in and give him a shout out. I don't know if I need to do donuts after that matcha latte, though. Anyways, puzzle number 3 is kind of interesting. It's focused a little bit more on Japanese people because we have a lot of data on Japanese people. So, as you can see, that Japanese, who only make up 6% of the Asian American population, 6% of all Asians in America are of Japanese descent. They are the second group that people think about when you say Asian American. So first it's Chinese, the usual default Asian, and then the second one is Japanese. So Japanese are well overrepresented in this, obviously due to Japanese soft power, the Japanese culture that has been exported across the world that everybody loves, Japanese lifestyles that are, you know, revered in many, many ways. So of course, a lot of people think of Japanese people when they think of Asian. I think Japanese culture is truly distinct from the West for the most part. So I think that all the customs and everything like that, we have to take in consideration. People view it as very different, and obviously Japan has been a very influential country for many, many decades in America. So that's interesting, right? But then also a lot of Americans don't really believe that the Japanese American internment camps during World War II were a terrible idea. So think about it. I'm just let me round that all out. A lot of people, when you think of what an Asian American is, a lot of people are thinking about Japanese culture and Japanese people, probably in a positive way because they like the culture. But then in the same way, 1 in 4 Americans are not sure that the Japanese internment camps were terrible. So do you like Japanese people and culture and you think about them a lot, but you don't think the internment camps were horrible? Man, all this walking, talking, and thinking got me kind of hungry. I think I need to get some dumplings or some pepper chicken or something. Let me go to Spicy Village 2 and see what they got. All right, everybody, I was eating my $8 pepper chicken here at Spicy Village 2, and I ran into this guy, Jun Mu. He's a half Chinese, half West African.
Yes.
YouTuber.
Yes, I am.
Give a quick drop. Yo, let them know that you can speak Mandarin. 说一点中文。
中文吗？所以我是应该大家看过，如果看过我的视频的话，那就太好了。不过我做的是语言和食物的这么一个频道，希望大家多多支持我的频道，感谢感谢。
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, that flowed even easier than when you were speaking English. I'm just kidding. Hey, check out Jun Mu on YouTube. Crossing cultures. So you gotta look at this pepper chicken right here. This was made fresh for $8. And honestly, I don't care where you're at from Manhattan, that is crazy pricing. I mean, this rivals a lot of the teriyaki chicken that you can get in New York City, and it's only $8. And trust me, nobody is providing this level of quality and value for the price except. All right, everybody, those are the 3 different puzzles that add together to create what I consider the Asian American paradox. I'm sure there's so many other aspects to it. Maybe someone else coined this term. Maybe some professors are using it. I don't know, okay? But that's what I'm calling it, where there's all these contradictions of America. And these stats are real stats. I guess let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about all this. Which puzzle of the 3 puzzles do you think is the most interesting, and what can you do about it? I mean, again, identity is so complex, and sometimes I understand some people just want to live life and they don't want to think about it. Maybe their daily life is fine. Maybe their friends are cool. Maybe they never really felt like an outsider. And then some people, depending on the life situation, they're like, yo, I've been invisible my whole life. Like nobody cares about what I have to say. Nobody looks at me. And it's mostly because I'm Asian, or maybe I grew up in such a deep immigrant setting, and my parents weren't able to teach me certain things, so then it feels like it sets you behind, and now you're starting life behind your character. It's like your game character that you start life with starts behind, and a lot of people feel that way. But yeah, I just think that maybe there's no real set solutions, but you know, some people are going to tune it out and just live life, and you know, there's nothing really wrong with that either. Oh, no problem. Shout out to that guy jogging. He just said thanks for the videos. He could have just said that because I'm filming, but I think he also does recognize me. But you know, you never know. But shout out to him. Thank you, jogger sir. So anyways, let me know what you think about all this. How do you interpret it? You know, this is just data, and I'm just one opinion, you know? I read these things, I'm interested in the numbers. Do the numbers tell it all? No, but do they tell something? Yes. Obviously, our content is not usually meant just to be for entertainment. I try to be as entertaining as possible. Oh shit, look at the birds. Pigeons. Look at all those staple pigeons. Look at all those pigeons. Man, they would taste good if they were grilled. I'm just kidding. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's cool to walk around the city, think about this stuff. It's good to think while you walk, but maybe you don't want to think about this stuff. And maybe your life has been good. It's very, very possible that your personal life has been great in America, even though you're Asian. And then there's other people, maybe your cousin, who feels completely different. Isn't that interesting? Anyways, New York City, please go easy on me tonight.